Hi there! Happy Friday, everybody. This is a Kickstarter update video about our level design for Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends. So, folks have been asking us all about the level design of the game, and specifically, is it a Metroidvania? Is it non-linear? What do you mean by non-linear? How big are these worlds we're exploring? A lot of folks have been saying, it looks kind of linear in the video we've been showing, and we haven't been showing those Metroidvania pieces. So what I wanted to do today was show you some of the tools that we're using and how those are really going to fit into this. Now I'm saying Metroidvania because that's an easy way for people to think about big nonlinear levels, but I don't know about you. To me, a Metroidvania feels more like the game is one continuous space, when what we're trying to do is something a little bit more like a Shantae game. Like if you've played Shantae and the Seven Sirens, which is like the most recent one, that gives you like a good idea of what we're going for. And in that game, you still absolutely do have these big explorable spaces that like fold in on each other and make these mazes and passageways and things like that, and with lots of like hidden secrets and all this stuff. And that's what we want to do. But you always like go back to town in like the middle of a game like that. So that's what we want. That's why I try to like draw a line a little bit, because it's kind of like Shantae, where instead of going to town, what we will do is Nemo can wake up and then go explore his house. So that is also itself like a little non-linear space with lots of like, again, secrets and things to discover. So yeah, basically the world structure is that what you're going to do is, as Nemo, you go to bed, you explore like one of the areas of Slumberland. You can pick which one you want to go to, and then you'll be transported there by your bed. And then you explore the space, search for secrets, search for items. There's a few different types of goals we have in mind, everything from upgrading characters, potentially knock on wood. There you go, there's the wood. To like beating big bosses, some of which you've seen like on the Kickstarter page, like the Big Moon and the Pie Eaters and the Nightmare Fiends themselves. And then, we have like a few other things in mind, again, depending on our stretch goals. But then what we're going to do is, if Nemo fails, Nemo and his friends fail, so, you fall in a pit or you lose all your health or something like that, or your sleep, rather, you can have the option of waking up. And if you go and you wake up, then Nemo can go and like plot around the house a little bit and try to discover some stuff to like help him keep going. Maybe that's like some hidden items, or again, we have some plans for like an upgrade, like temporary upgrade system involving like a kitchen and food. So that'll help you like buff up Nemo a little bit, or again, if we can hit enough, then we can like maybe nerf him a little bit and make for extra challenges and speedrun stuff. You can do all kinds of different like runs that way. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at is, you can like beef Nemo up and then go back to bed and then, try again, pick where your character is going to land in Slumberland and then go. So in terms of building these spaces, I thought it might be good to show off like what our level design is about, and the tools that we're using, so that you can get an idea of like how these worlds are going to fit together. So I've made like a really small like tunnel passageway of a few rooms here. Now, before we get into this, I'm going to tell you this is a game in development, and we have just really gotten the characters' base abilities functioning, in terms of like, that's where we are, as we've gotten all their powers like worked out. And now what we're actually in the process of doing, I don't know if anybody's watched the development live stream from Saturday night, but Ben is actually in the process of like completely rebuilding all of the characters, because before they worked, but they were a little rough around the edges. So now he's just going to build them from the ground up so that they, you know, feel a little like punchier and a little, they feel a little tighter. They're going to give like a nice precise arcade feel, and that's going to be really nice for our platforming because we want to do some like real precision based stuff. So he's rebuilding that aspect of them, and then you know, just like getting their capabilities down. So you know, for example, you might notice like Nemo jumps really high and compared to like Peony and things like that, and that's because of this ongoing process. So this is also to say that if there are any huge bugs, you know, that's why. This is a game in development, so please understand that. I'm also not going to put any enemies right in right now because, again, we're rebuilding some of that stuff. But that being said, I want to show you what we can do with our tools. So what we're doing is we're using a tool called Ferr 2D, and it's a plugin for the Unity game engine that lets us do these like these levels in big terrains, the big like 2D terrains. And what that means is that basically we build a material, we hand draw, and we hand draw a bunch of tile sets. And I'm going to play around in the ice biome. I really like the ice biome, and I know everybody hates ice levels, but our goal is not to build like an ice level that's slippery and annoying. Our goal is to build like a sort of cool crystalline palace with other things like blizzards and stuff. Big snowmen that throw snowballs at you and whatnot. So this is like the terrain editor. The material editor. You build what's called a Ferr 2D material, and you build that out of like other materials that you create in Unity. But you bring it all together, and basically what it's going to show you is your artwork, and here's all my edges. So there's a top, here's the sides, bottom, things like that. And you just like draw boxes around them to tell it where to go. And then you tweak details, but ultimately what you get once you do this is this nice terrain style where I can, you know, move and shape this terrain any way I want. I can add points. I can change the type of point so that like maybe it's a curve point, maybe it's a Bezier curve point so we can control the curve. You know, we can do lots of cool stuff here. Now, if you're looking at this and thinking, wow, you could really do some like cool organic shaped things, that's exactly what we want to do. In this biome, in the ice palace, I'm trying to stick to a more orthogonal shape, meaning like 90-degree angles, just because it is like an architectural world. In fact, architecture buffs may be interested to know that I've based some of the look of the ice palace not only on McKay's comics, but also on Antoni Gaudi, who's a famous Catalan architect from Barcelona. And, you know, it's just a fun well, he was alive during McKay's time, but we don't think that McKay knew of his architecture. So I thought like that'd be a neat what if, like maybe he knows about, you know, what if McKay knew about him? Maybe he would put that into Little Nemo. And for those who don't know, I actually have a background in architecture, and I have written several books on architecture and level design. So, you know, like this is my happy place here. So what I'm going to do, so I've made that. I also, to show off like what else Ferr can do, I'm going to shut the background down. So we can also make things like this for quick level decoration. You know, basically this is just like a you know, top part of a terrain, except we only have the top part, and then we can just turn it into this repeating railing and colonnade. So we can do cool stuff like that, stretch it out, make a neat hallway or something like that. We can also do these types of ledges, and the usefulness of that obviously is that we can then like make a nice thing to jump on. One thing that you're immediately going to notice is that, again, you know, people have been asking about the sort of non-linear level nature. We really want that to be apparent, and these are in our video, but we want this to be like visually marked in our levels by things like having doorways. So you have that kind of Castlevania Metroid feel of going from one space to another. Having, so this shaft actually requires you to use like a few different characters. We were having some trouble with the sizing of the spikes. So I'm gonna, what am I doing here? 0.6, let's go 0.5. We're having some trouble with the sizing of the spikes. They were like too easy to hit. So I want to shut those off, or I want to shorten them a little bit. So we can basically like we have spikes as terrains, we have these colonnades as terrains. We're using the visual language that people may be familiar from with these types of games, like these doorways and things like that, that'll signal to folks what type of game it is. And we're just doing all of these. Where did that? Oh. I had a set of spikes somewhere. Interesting. We're going to delete that set then, and then we're going to take this set and Shift D, and then make on the y-axis negative, and now we have spikes, visible spikes again, up in this upper room. So that's far, like we can do lots of cool things shaping terrain, but then the other thing we have is this camera called ProCamera, and then what it does, you can see a 0, 1, and 2. What this does for us is it basically lets us control our environment in rooms so that you do get that sort of like Metroid Castlevania feel. And by the way, I'm looking down because my screen is down here. It's a drawing tablet screen, so I have to look down. But what we can do is we can like, establish a room. So if I wanted to establish a room, I could like make one and then position the room. So like if I wanted there to be a room over here, and then, I can change the size of it, and then, I click off and there's a room now. Now I'm not really going to go in this room. It happens to exist. And then if I want to move it, I can go down to my rooms here and change like its positioning and things like that. But what you get with something like this, I'm going to hit Control and S for save. Now I'm going to play the level. So this is like our developer debug modes. Oh, I don't have the background. That's fine. So I'm going to stick with Nemo right now. And we're just going to bypass this. And we're actually going to stick with Nemo to get boop. Now see, what I wanted to do here was create a level space. Like I said, be forewarned. We're still reworking our collisions and the layout of things. You can see the characters are behind stuff. But, oops. Come on, flip. There we go. Oh, okay, wow, we didn't. And then I can just... Oops. All right. So, like I said, a little slidey, but that's because they're basically being like torn down and put back together. But yeah, you can see how like we can build levels really quickly and easily with something like this. I can, we can just like copy, paste, add, do whatever with our terrains and really do some fun stuff with these. But yeah. I hope you enjoyed this look at the level design tools that we're using for Little Nemo and the Nightmare Fiends. We hope you share the project, tell folks about us, and tell them about the kind of kind of cool level design that we're doing. But, hey, thanks for watching, and have a great weekend.